I'm John Graft, and I love Chicago real estate. Between showings, I stop in my favorite places, talk with local business owners, and bring their story to you. This is my Chicago.
Adam, are you in love, or what's your story?
Well, working on it. Let's put it that way.
Okay, well, if for whatever reason that falls through, you should go to Park if you like good church women. It's some good ones over there. They're so cute. It's such a diverse community, and I love that. But anyway, yeah, you just look so familiar.
I don't know. It's one of those faces, I suppose.
I know, it could be. Yeah, I'm usually pretty good at it, but I don't know. You're a little too young to have been at my circle when I was living here. But,
And I probably wasn't here.
Yeah.
When did you live here?
Oh gosh, ages ago, like
Ages?
15 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you want to get into this business?
To get into this one?
Mm-hmm.
I went to Israel. I took a couple tours over to
Okay.
Israel, and the Dead Sea is where I fell in love with floating. That's where it really, to me, is the ultimate. I wouldn't necessarily say this publicly,
Yeah.
but that's to me where God really, I mean, you know that water is supposedly sacred. People come from all over the world
Yeah.
to float in that water because they believe it's really holy. Now, many people come and they don't think it has anything to do with God, so let's just be clear about that. But that was the original, and that was sort of my first love for floating. And then 2 or 3 years went by, and all of a sudden I saw a Groupon come across my desk for float therapy, and I'm like, what is float therapy?
What's this? Yeah.
And then I found out, I researched a little bit, found out, and I said to my husband, this is it. This is what I want to do. I want to introduce people to float therapy as it's growing quite rapidly. And yeah, then I researched, studied, traveled around the country, looked at different delivery systems, pod, tank, rooms, cabins, you name it, and moved very quickly, and then opened my first studio in 2015, and then a couple of years went by and I opened my second, and then this is my third. And
Where were the other two?
one is in Frisco. That's the original. That's exclusively float therapy. That's all we do there.
Okay.
And then I opened Cherry Creek, Denver, which is a really exclusive area in Denver. And I expanded to the new model, which
Just the cabins?
well, I have the cabins or the float rooms. I have those, and then I expanded to all the different modalities.
Oh, got it. Okay. So that's when you added everything else.
Everything else. It was there that I made the decision that I wanted to create a space where everybody could come and experience each of these services. They didn't have to go to a salt cave. They didn't have to go to a cryotherapy room or service. They didn't have to go somewhere for float. They could come to one place, and everything that I do has to do with mental and physical rest and recovery. And I was very clear that anything that I brought in had to have impact on the mind and the body simultaneously. And so yeah, so I just started building and built these. And I love them. I think they're beautiful, they're clean. I love the team, I like the way we think. We're a very relational company. It's important to us that we move through our stuff together as a team and fight for each other in good ways. And so I'm trying to build something a little bit different.
How do you do that from Colorado?
I travel until COVID, but I would travel a lot. But we do, now we do Zoom calls, and those work just perfect, believe it or not.
So life must be a lot easier for you.
It is easier, but I still miss being in Chicago. So
And you obviously care. You're here now. You're not here for this interview. You just happen to be here. We happen to connect.
Yes. Yeah, I came in for some other meetings and some other things. But interestingly enough, I came in when we were closed because I didn't want to cross paths with the team.
Got it.
Except for the director, because I want to respect COVID and the 10-day, all of that. So I leave tomorrow before I get to see the team.
Nice.
But I did want to come in, look at the new equipment, get it set up, all that kind of stuff. So
How'd you choose this location?
I chose this location because it has always felt very central to me. A good part of me grew up here in Chicago in corporate America, and this always felt like a central hub. I could get to Bucktown, I could get to Gold Coast, I could get to the Loop, I could get to Lincoln Park. You know, it just felt very central to me, but it also felt like I could be accessible to those traveling into Chicago and create a nice rest and recovery resource for people traveling. So this just felt like a nice central location.
To me, everything I do in the city is within 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
West, north, south, it doesn't matter. It's always close by, and it's nice to be just right here in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
And you have a real neighborhood feeling.
Yep.
Old Town has the best feeling. Wells has its own specific feeling, but as you go further north on Wells, you go a little bit west, you get the real Old Town neighborhood. You can feel it really well.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I think, I have moments where perhaps I would have been better served somewhere else, but I have a vision for Old Town. I have a vision for this location.
I think your location's great for all the reasons you said, because if you're a housewife in Lincoln Park, or an executive in Streeterville, or a doctor in Streeterville, or a playboy in River North, or a tech guy in the West Loop, wherever you are, this is close.
Yeah.
You're within 10 minutes. It's easy to get here, and you cross paths a lot in Old Town. So, if you are south from here, if you want to go to Lincoln Park, you want to go to the north side of it all, you have to pass through. And if you're going to the beach, and no matter what you're doing, Old Town seems to get into people's lives.
Yeah. Yeah, so for me it was the perfect location. I'm thrilled with my Old Town location. I do love the feel of the street. Everybody's very kind to each other, which I think is Chicago anyway. But yeah, so I love it. I actually, do at moments I wish I was on the first floor, street level, perhaps.
Well, I'm sure you save a lot on rent.
I do save on rent.
I don't think you'd be able to have as nice of a facility if you were street level.
Yeah.
You would have to make compromises.
Yeah.
It's kind of like chefs. When people are going downtown to go eat at a restaurant, I always question that decision, because so much of their money, all their revenue has to go towards expenses.
Yeah.
As opposed to the solo chef who opened up the place in Logan Square. He's paying next to nothing for rent because he's focusing on the food. And he's able to actually pull it off there.
Yeah, and here, I don't know. I think I lost my train of thought, to be honest.
Okay.
I was going to go somewhere with you on that one.
That's okay.
The second floor. So yes, the second floor has served me well, though, in addition to rent, but it's also served me well because I feel like it feels like a little bit of a sanctuary up here. You get to come up and out of the everyday hustle and bustle. And so for me, I do love it up here on the second floor. And people, I think you can feel it when you come up off the ground and you come into here. It feels very calming.
It's nice looking down. It's just one floor, so it's still terrestrial. You can still see everyone walking. You're not 50 floors up. You're right here in the community, but you get a vantage point that most people wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah. So, and look at our view today.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I know. So
How did you find this location?
I did have a realtor many, many years ago. And we knew we wanted to be in Old Town, and she helped us. If it wasn't for her, I don't know that we would have even thought about this.
Great endorsement.
Yeah, really. I mean, why wouldn't I choose somebody who it's their livelihood, it's their expertise? And so she really picked a few locations for us, and we went out and looked. And I've been very happy with the space. I love my landlord. And in the midst of COVID, he has to do what he has to do, but he's been kind and fair.
That's great.
And so I'm grateful for that. But yeah, she really is the one that found it for us.
So this location spoke to you. How was it starting that business? You're coming from corporate America, you said. Did you get a loan? Did you have investors? Did you bootstrap this? How did you make this dream a reality?
Yeah, so my first studio in Frisco, that was me. And then when I had the vision to expand and create what I consider a lifestyle and really introduce people to this way of life and the power of being aware of the mind and body connection, and not from a mindful perspective, of course that's true, but from a real intentional decision, mindful, that the mind is so important. The wellness of your mind is just as important as your body. And so when I decided to expand, I was very fortunate to find an investor, and they helped me take the next step for Cherry Creek, and then the next step into Chicago.
That's great.
And so I've been very grateful for them. I would not have been able to have this vision if it weren't for someone else creating this space to help me do that.
Did that partner offer more business acumen and experience that also benefited you?
No, they were 100% just an investor.
Just a bag of money?
Literally a bag of money. And
okay.
Yeah.
How did you figure it out? I mean, you were in corporate America, you have the business acumen, but this is a completely different space, and I feel it'd be intimidating to look at this. I mean, just looking at all the products and all the connections and all the vendors and all the different things to set up, the build out. Commercial space is always interesting to me because It's you looking at raw space, making it your own, your vision, making the floor plan, making the rooms. But then if you were to ever leave here, someone would tear all of this out and start from scratch again. And that's kind of the beauty of it, because you have to invest in the space that way.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
You know, I have to say, I really do think it comes down to that entrepreneurial spirit. When you want to do something, you will study and research and learn everything. And I just knew in my head what I wanted. I wanted calm, I wanted simple. I don't have a lot of art, I don't have a lot of busyness. Like it was in my head, I could just feel it. And I study everything. I love to study, I love to learn. And so I researched modalities and what would create an impact on this wellness issue or this wellness issue, and what could I do to create an alternative option versus medicine. I'm a firm believer in medicine, but I happen to think there is a large percentage of illnesses that are stress induced.
Okay.
And I think more of that is becoming very well known in the last several years, that a majority of all illnesses are stress related, environmental versus born. And so how do I create space for people to quiet their souls down and quiet their bodies and their mind? And so it didn't feel intimidating. I think when you have this clear vision, and I don't even know that clear is the right word, but it feels clear. You find it all comes to be. And I think you start to visualize your environment, and then the pieces fall into place. And so I don't know, it didn't feel intimidating.
Growing up in America, when this type of holistic medicine or Eastern medicine, my wife is Korean and her grandfather was a doctor. He was a lawyer. Being a lawyer wasn't hard enough for him, so he became a brain surgeon, dead serious.
Oh my.
And he created these products that make you better. They're vitamins essentially, but it's all based on Eastern medicine. Here, there hasn't been a respect for that forever, and I agree with you. I think more people are looking into that and realizing a lot of our health is up to us. We have to do things that make it better. What would you say to someone that would call these things a fad?
Honestly, that's okay with me.
I love that answer.
Yeah, it's really okay.
Because I don't think you can convince people of these things. You either believe in it or you don't.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I'm sorry, it's unfortunate. Hopefully you will one day. Hopefully you'll read something or see something. I can tell anyone, just go sit in a sauna and tell me you can last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you can, then tell me you don't feel better when you leave. And tell me you don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
Your body doesn't lie to you.
Right. And I think what I love, well, first of all, I'm very fortunate because many of the pieces of equipment that I use have scientific backing.
Okay.
There are studies and scientific studies that support the belief that these have impact on your mental and physical wellness. So I'm very fortunate with that. But I think of an overarching thought. I think there are more people that probably go, I think it's a fad, or, And I would say
that's the look, right?
I'm not. I'm not sure.
That's the noise.
That's the noise and the look. But I have to say, I'm even okay with that, and I'm even okay with the placebo concept.
Me too. So people bring up vitamins. We were talking earlier about how a lot of vitamins pass right through you, and I take a number of supplements, and people are like, "Do you think that does anything?" I'm like, "I don't know. I feel better." I don't know. I absolutely believe in the placebo effect.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's just like your energy. If I have positive energy, I'm going to feel better throughout the day.
Yeah. So for me, I've said to some of our guests, even if if this turns out and you think it's a placebo, I'm okay with it. Because if it mentally changes, which in today's times, we are very clear that you can rewire your brain. You have this ability to change your neural pathways. So if you can believe it, and you believe that it helps you, that is just the huge number one step. So I'm okay with that too. Like, I'm not really intimidated or threatened by any of that. So I think it's okay if somebody kind of thinks it's a fad.
The neuroplasticity that you're talking about is very interesting. And Mylar, and they have proven we can shape our brain at any age, and it can change how it works and how we think. And it's very cool because growing up, I think you're kind of taught, or at least I feel like I was, that once you get somewhere, you're set. People do the same job forever, they do the same things, and they get in these routines, and you don't see people change paths many times in their life. And life is a book full of chapters, and unfortunately I feel like most people's are one chapter, maybe two, and they never get to reopen it. But these type of things allow people to look at things from a different perspective and see things through another lens. But you know what, maybe what I'm doing doesn't have to be what I'm doing, and maybe I can do something that's more beneficial, or just like yourself, maybe I can start a business, something I love, I believe in, and I can help other people with it. With real estate, there's always been this great benefit of doing it. It can be the worst job sometimes because you're dealing with difficult people, but that's the minimal. It's not the majority of people. 80% of the people I deal with are great, appreciate what we do, want to work with us, seek us out. And there's something to that really is rewarding within. And I imagine you get the same thing from this type of business and company. And it almost feels wrong calling it a business. Like, of course this is a business. You're a small business owner. But this is holistic. It's health.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is a business. And that's probably, as a small business owner, it's very difficult to remind people, this is a business. I am called to make money. That's why I'm here. But I chose to deliver it through something I believe in, and I happen to believe in these modalities. I happen to believe in what they can do, and I'm, like I said, I'm even okay with it if you want to say it's a placebo effect. Totally works for me. I think that as a business, it is important to remember that I'm called to pay my team and to cover my rents. I have responsibilities. But I chose a passion. I chose what I love. And that's why it was never hard to visualize what it could be.
You can tell.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the name?
I tried to trademark a name, and then I tried to trademark another name, and another name, and another name, and it just would never seem to work. It was a long list of, sorry, that one won't work, that one won't work. And so finally, the trademark attorney said, just create a name, come up with something totally different. And I'm a little embarrassed to say that I sat in Frisco, Colorado with my husband having lunch, and we just talked, and I thought, okay, everything that I want to do is about reviving. I want to revive people, their minds, their bodies. It's everything that I want to do. And then all of a sudden we were like, Vive. What about just Vive? Well, in my small brain, I was thinking that was sort of a new take on a new word or something. Well, it's Vive, which is long life, and
that's great.
Which worked out perfect. I just took it from revive. So that was kind of how we came up with it, and sure enough, it worked. And people use Vive all day long, but they can't in this little section of the world, in my little wellness part of the world. They can't use Vive, so I was able to trademark it.
That's great.
Under Vive Float Studio, which has turned to be a little challenging when I expanded my vision, because we're not just float. So that's been a little hard. Trying to decide, do I keep Vive Float Studio? So I'm very quick to do Vive Float Studio, Float, Cryo, Infrared, Vat, Hallow.
I think you just dropped the float, Vive Studio. But I guess, does that say what it is? I can understand that. You have to have the tagline to give a better description.
Well, that's true, but I did trademark Vive Float Studio. So I can't take float out.
So it's always there.
So one of those business moments.
Well, I can tell you, walking up and down the street, the reason your business stood out to me as instead of another place because there's a lot of cryo places. And I want to ask you about that too. There's a lot of competition, but you're the only place that I've seen that has all of it. Sauna, float, cryo, all together.
Vibroacoustic, Cryotherapy, all of them.
And all the other things I didn't even know about until you just got here. And you're adding on. And it looks like you have space to even, if you needed to add on a little bit more, you have it.
I could, I'd have to rework a little bit, but we have a local cryo machine as well, which we didn't talk about, but that's facials, that's working with injuries. So I work with a boxer.
Is that a
handheld?
Okay. I thought it was a steamer. I mean, I didn't, but it kind of looks like a steamer.
It does. Yep, like we work with a boxer very specifically, and so we work with his hands, we'll work with areas of his knees, etc. So we do have that as well, but it'll start to get a little tight in here, but we're staying very much about what I believe in. And I have everything from a respiratory to a skin to mental, physical, you name it. So I feel like I've got kind of everybody covered. But I do love the fact that you can come to one facility and you can go where your body needs. That's most important.
That's a great tagline.
You really can, yeah. And so that's probably, I think, why our members love us, because they have a membership to access to everything.
So how does that work? Break down the membership for me.
So the membership, the way that it works, we have several memberships. So this is by far the most popular, which is called Revive. And that particular membership, you pay $38 a month. It's much like a country club concept, far less expensive, but hey. But it's the idea is that you pay $38 a month to be a member, and then you pay the lowest fee, so to speak, for each of the services. So then you would just pay for what you actually use that day at the lowest rate.
Okay.
So for example, a float is normally $90, you would pay $55.
Okay.
$65 for Hallow, you would pay $35. So you get a great financial perk, and it really does, the savings pays for your membership in essence very quickly. But we get to know that you're committed to your wellness. We get to know that we can count on those funds to pay our staff, to pay our rent, etc. So it really is a way to take care of us and you. And so the membership is by far the most popular, and it allows, like I said, people to go wherever their body needs. Part of the difficult thing about going to a cryo or just a float center or just a salt cave or a salt room is that sometimes that isn't really where your body needs to go, but it's what you have a membership to. So here we're able to let you go where you need. And you have the Quiet Center. You also have a discount to Blue Boutique. You get to bring a first-time guest at the same rate that you're paying that day. As I mentioned, use the Quiet Center. So there's other perks as well. But yeah, so that's the kind of the thought behind a membership. A membership, I think, should serve our guests, but it also serves us.
It's a great way to keep in touch with your clientele and allow those services. They feel comfortable just walking in and using them and bringing people. I like that aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
So when I was doing a little research, and you're pretty well insulated from competition. Seems like you have a lot downtown.
Yeah.
You have some in Lincoln Park, and you have some west of you, but far west of you. Pretty good. You've done a good job, or it just organically happened.
Yeah.
Where you don't have people competing in the same space. But even if you did, I feel like you see a lot of cryo places, not as many sauna places. Have you seen the sauna working out in the sauna? Have you heard of this?
The sauna?
You work out in a sauna.
Oh, got it.
You're doing a class, you're lifting weights, you're doing it all under that high heat. There's a place off Fullerton in Lincoln Park in the student, they're not dorms, but that's essentially what they're like, higher end dorms. Below on the commercial space, they have this, and I think it's called Hotbox.
Oh, I don't know that I think I've heard of Hotbox. I didn't quite realize that's what they were, which I have to believe is a great concept.
Well, I think hotboxing is smoking weed in a small area, but that's what they called this place.
Okay, well there you go. I'm not that
You're
hip.
from Colorado, so
I should have been. I should have known, but I didn't. Okay, but it's funny. I kind of think, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So they're doing it with a traditional sauna versus a full spectrum concept. I have to believe it's.
I would think so too because of the heat. Right?
Yeah. So I have to believe they're taking it off of Bikram yoga. That concept, maybe
like
not
that.
going to that degree.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I think you pass out.
The two. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the idea is great. I would, hey, I think if that works and they're not causing anybody to have like overheat and pass out, so be it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with getting your temperature up just a tiny bit to induce the sweating and 100%. The release. Yeah, I think that's great.
I think I should try it.
Yeah.
I like it when I was thinking about the concept because I think it opens up the holistic side of things to people that otherwise wouldn't.
Yeah.
So you get a guy who goes to the gym, he's like, okay, cool, I can work out harder, I can get stronger, maybe doing this hot box thing. Yeah. Well, maybe there's other benefits in this category of things that I can do as well.
Yeah, no, I think any kind of creative way to get people, I mean, even yesterday I read an article. A whole article was that really you're all wasting your time working out. You just need to walk. We're all supposed to walk.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I can cover that.
Just get your 10,000 a day.
Yeah, get your 10,000, do your walk. But no, I think that's great. That's the creativity and what's so beautiful about small business owners. You get a vision and you move.
Yeah.
And nobody will stop you. The fear of all of this, my fear didn't come while I was building. My fear did not come while I was being creative and vision casting and thinking. My fear came after I was open.
Yeah. Build it, will they come?
And will they come?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's where my fear, and where as an owner, it's been the hardest, is how do you share your vision with people? What is your, what do you do? Do you do this? Do you do Instagram? Do you do TikTok? What do you do to get your word out? That's where the fear comes in. And then staffing.
Yeah.
That's the next big fear.
Can you discuss some of the struggles that you've had while opening this up or running it?
You know, it's interesting. It could just be this moment right now. Staffing has probably been the most challenging.
Why?
You're dealing with your own mess. You're dealing with your own hard realities of your vision for what you see, and how to express that to a team and say, please carry my vision forward. Mm-hmm. And then you screw it up, you make bad decisions, you make mistakes alone as an owner. And then you have to deal with the insecurities and the growth spurts of a team. Mm-hmm. And I deal with a team that is so excited about wellness, but they have realities too. They're young, they're trying to figure out life, and so then I'm working with them on how to navigate compartmentalizing their personal life with work. You go through so much when you're dealing with a team, and this isn't their career. If it was their career, it would be perhaps different, but it's not. It's usually what's paying the bills while they get their own vision.
Yes. So you know they're never going to stay here.
They're not staying.
And nor should. I mean, you don't want someone who's going to be answering phones for their life or running these.
No.
There's more for something to do. They have dreams. They have their own aspirations.
Yes.
They want to do their own thing.
Yes. Other than my leadership roles, they're in transition, and we're here. And I say this to the team all the time. I am here to equip you, to give you what I can give you, to pass on what I've learned, to shape you, to have influence for this short little gifted time you've been entrusted to my care. Mm-hmm. But then I freely send you to the next season of your life. But while you're here, we have to grow, you know? And so we have to walk into different belief systems. And when I say belief systems, meaning how we should operate.
Yeah.
So that's probably been the most challenging, is the relational component. And then my own insecurities, my own fears of, am I a good boss? Am I motivating when I should motivate? Am I firm when I should be firm? And I listen to so many podcasts, I can't even tell you. Uh-huh. And sometimes I want to just call up Simon, this guy named Simon Sinek?
Yeah, he's a great author.
I know, but I want to call that brother. I wrote him one time and he never responded. But I want to call that brother and go, okay, you know what? I love your vision. You shouldn't have to motivate a team member. If they can't give their best, if they don't come here motivated, like, I want to say that's just not real sometimes.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not real.
It's not. And it's hard. It's hard for someone who's younger finding their path to believe in your vision, and so much so where they're kind of drinking the Kool-Aid, right? And I never want to be someone who drinks the Kool-Aid, but I want everyone who works for me to drink the Kool-Aid. And that's the entrepreneurial path. And myself, I struggle with that. I think I can be a leader. I'm not a good manager. And I don't like to manage people. I don't even like the term manager. It's so that your job is to manage what? Like, isn't there more than that? Shouldn't there be more in what you're doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, even Adam has more responsibilities outside of just doing video work. And there's so many different things to encompass. It's hard to find someone who can really behold the image, believe in the vision, and stand behind you and make sure it happens. So what's your turnover like?
I think my turnover in leadership is maybe 15 to 16 months.
Okay.
A leader will move on.
That sounds pretty good though.
Well, for a leader.
Yes.
My hourly staff, wellness ambassadors, I swear to you, if they stay 9 months, I am thrilled.
Yeah. Especially in a city.
Yeah, in the city it's hard. Denver's a little bit different.
So I was about to ask, do you work, you said Cherry Hill, right?
Cherry Creek.
Cherry Creek. So that's more, I'm not gonna say suburban, but it's hard to compare a city like Denver to a city like Chicago. Whenever I go to other places, I'm like, this isn't a city. I love Denver, I have friends that live there. It's not a true city, right? more people live outside and it feels more suburban, if you will. Do you have better retention there?
Yes, much better.
I believe that, because in the suburbs here, you will have someone that would sit at that desk and they'll do that for 30 years. They want the stability, they want the security, they want to go to the job, do their job, and leave.
Yeah. Colorado people are different. We call ourselves mountain people. You're not really there for your job. You'll do your job, you'll do it well. Yes. But they're really there for the mountain. They're really there to go camp or hike or ski or board or bike or cycle, whatever they're going to do.
Everything is a means to an end.
Exactly. And so that team I've had for quite some time. Actually, I think 3 years for Marcy. She's been with me a long time. The rest of the team's been there a year and a half, etc. Summit County, different breed altogether. Okay. That is a true mountain town. They come and go. They are there for the ski season and then they're gone. They'll move on to the next mountain and work. They'll go to New Zealand and work the mountain there in the off season, you know, because of the way the snow moves. So that's a different breed. But here it's been hard. Chicago's been hard. But I think I'm getting smarter on who I'm looking for, what kind of person I'm looking for. I'm also having more grace on myself that it's okay. I realize they're going to probably stay a year. Is probably the most I'll get them.
As long as you know that, I think it's smart going in, because then you're not let down or you're not hurt because that person wants to leave. I remember my first employee, they left and I was hurt. I wanted to shed a tear because I thought they were part of the vision. And then you realize you have to make them more part of the vision if you want that to happen. And I think the more responsibility, the more chances for leadership or growth allows someone to integrate themselves into your business and be part of the overall vision.
Yeah, and I think also the hard reality of money. I'm not in a position to pay hourly these big rates, or I'm a small business owner, or my health insurance, I don't have health insurance. You know, I fight some real battles to keep good people. I hope someday that I can do health insurance and that I can pay more, but that's a real reality for them, and so I have to respect that. So yeah, it's just, I've learned a lot. I beat myself up a lot when I first opened. And
you're probably your worst critic.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But I'm really loving this new season that I'm in, where I'm starting to really kind of enjoy how I'm wired and finding a little bit of my own center to where I feel confident saying it's okay for me to ask for this. And if you can't do it, that's okay too.
You mentioned your husband earlier. How does he feel about this?
Well, he is probably the perfect husband.
Okay.
I love this man so much, I can't even tell you. He loves my vision. He is excited for me. He supports me, but it's not his vision. And so I'm very grateful that he is always trying to learn more and more and more, so that come retirement or come the next season and he wants to be a part of this, great. But it's really, he's been very kind to support my vision. And the traveling, he's very kind about that. We try to do that very smart. So I try to travel when he's working.
Okay. What does he do?
He works for UPS.
Okay.
Yeah, so he up in the county, in Summit County. And so I try to travel when he's doing that. But sometimes I'll come here for 10 to 2 weeks at a time.
It's got to be a little rough.
That's a little rough. And then we started to shorten it a little bit.
That's good.
So we're just finding our rhythm too in the last year or so of how we like to travel. So, but it works perfect for us, and we have a bigger vision for our family, and this is part of that. So,
if someone was coming here for the first time, where do you think they should start out in terms of what services to use? They have no background, no information. They just heard maybe sauna's good or the float's good or whatever it is, but they want to ease into this holistic medicine.
Yeah, I think a lot of it would have to do with their goals, their wellness goals. Is it, very quickly, just off the cuff, I would want to know, is it a physical? Are we here for physical relief? Has there been an injury? Is there something in that happening there? Or is it mental stress? And most of the time we don't move into necessarily mental. We would call it stress, you know, any anxiety, things of that, a little bit more common words that don't overwhelm people. But we would ask, are you more in need of a reprieve from this fast moving world? Or is this a pain related interest that got you here. And then once they give me that direction, it helps me. I happen to believe that 80% of my people will come in with some kind of a pain thing happening, but it's 80% that need the mind. And so I sort
probably
of
100%.
Yeah, I sort of get to do both. You know, if my back was up and I was supposed to just say, this is what you're going to do, I would always move people into float or vibrational acoustic therapy.
So I haven't heard of halotherapy, and I hadn't heard of the acoustical. The acoustical is so interesting just because of the layers and the idea behind it, and it's relatively straightforward, but it's not. That's very cool.
Yeah, and that's one I hope you guys will come back and try. It's pretty amazing. But those would be the two that I believe would have physical and mental contribution to their well-being.
Okay.
And so that would cover both sides very quickly. But then otherwise I would kind of find out what's happening and then put them in the right pattern. We do wellness intensives. We can customize a wellness day for you. We have a great studio sampler. So you get one of everything.
Oh, so what's that like?
So that literally gives you the opportunity to come in and try every single modality here in the studio, and then let you decide what you are organically drawn to. Because some might love float because they love water, some may not and prefer VAT or the sauna. So they really get to try one of everything and then kind of figure it out themselves.
So do you buy that package and then you can come and go as you please?
Yep.
I imagine you're not doing all that in one day.
Well, we do have some that come and do the whole thing.
Okay.
They'll spend an entire day with us.
Yeah, that's got to be 5 hours or so.
Yeah. And so we have, we work with a lot of actors and actresses that'll come in to film.
Okay.
And so they'll do their studio sampler, or they'll do the membership so they can come in and use all the services. But many people come and do things 2 or 3 in a day.
Got it.
So that's not outrageous. But yeah, some people do the studio sampler the whole day, and others just keep it, and over the next month or so they'll come and try things. So it creates an opportunity for you to figure out what you need and what your body needs.
I really appreciate the time.
Yeah.
This was so much fun. I've been here as a customer. I like to think of it as a client. I mean, customer's there's more to it than that.
We like guest.
Guest.
Yeah.
Perfect. How about resident? I'm a resident here.
I love that too.
Thank you so much. I think it's a great addition to the community. I think you really found a great location to be at too.
Yeah,
and I'm so happy it's 2 blocks from my house.
I know, me too. And thank you so much for this time. And really it is people like you that help spread the word, and I'm so grateful for that.
That's our goal.
Yeah, well, thank you.